Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation on the Facebook group in the foreign language classroom. After a short review of how Facebook has been used in education and what functions it can serve there, I will show you some examples from my own Facebook group for German. I will then talk about the educational environment in which this group was created and share my thoughts on the implementation process and on the challenges I faced. I will end with an outlook towards possible future adjustments that might help tackle some of the problems encountered so far. In the literature, we find three kinds of usage for Facebook in education. First, Facebook acts as a means to communicate and interact. At the same time, it provides an opportunity to create new friendships among students and teachers. This usage we can describe as social use. Then, in academia, Facebook serves as a supporting learning platform for students and teachers, including activities like discussion groups, online tasks, and the sharing of class-related material. Finally, Facebook is also being used for a variety of other purposes like announcements, information sharing, and organizational issues. As a support tool, Facebook is seen as having the potential to strengthen target language awareness and cross-cultural awareness. It can affect instructor-learner relations in a positive way and help instructors in their professional development. With 15 million active Facebook users per month and a penetration rate of 65% of the general population, or in other words 91% of the online population, Taiwan ranks among the top 10 of Asia-Pacific countries for Facebook usage. This ubiquity of Facebook is apparent also in the social life of our students. Students constantly seem to be online checking their Facebook status. The following discussion will focus on my personal experience with a Facebook group from my German courses at a university in central Taiwan. Let me start by showing you some examples of student posts and comments before I come to a more detailed description of the educational setting in which this group evolved. Here we see a post by a student in the first semester German 1. She is introducing a Japanese TV series she likes, and below her post we can see 3 comments by German 1 and 2 students, with the last one correcting the indefinite article for the German word for crime series from ein, which would be used for masculine and neuter nouns, to eine, which is the correct form for the feminine noun Serie. The next example is a post by a German 3 student with a learning tip about how to use German songs as a tool to improve your German. Below we see a simple thank you comment from a German 2 student. The last example for now shows a German 2 student post describing her typical breakfast. In the comments, German 3 students make suggestions for improvement. The first one suggests using a subclause with because, weil in German, while the second one proposes a different word choice for the first sentence, that is, exchanging mostly, meistens, with often, oft. Let me now give you some key figures about the work and study environment in which this Facebook group for German evolved. At our university, German is offered in year-long courses on 3 levels, covering the A1 and A2 levels of the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. Classes consist of 3 hours of instruction per week, with class sizes varying between 15 and 50 students. Our Facebook group was established in 2011 and it currently has a membership of 459, including both former and current students of mine. So why use Facebook? As a matter of fact, with the experience of students constantly online, liking, chatting, posting and commenting wherever they go, it became more of a question of why not make use of Facebook for the German classroom. A closed group in the social network offered a safe environment for a meaningful exchange in the target language. The promise that Facebook held was to help students make German become a natural part of their life in a society where, for most people, foreign languages other than English, Japanese and Korean do not play a role at all. Then, the visual aspect of Facebook posts appeals to students and facilitates learning and instruction processes. New words and concepts easily become clear with a corresponding picture. Furthermore, there was the opportunity of making new friends and creating networks among group members. Students planning a summer trip to Germany could use Facebook to ask for help from more experienced travelers about visa requirements, budget, accommodation, best tourist sites, transport options, or local food. And advanced students were given a platform to help beginners. Originally, the group was set up as an open platform for students to share anything related to the study of German, while posts and comments could be made in German, English, or Chinese. The group was meant as a means to exchange ideas and experiences with like-minded students, so as to enhance learning motivation and train language skills. Student activities on Facebook were not included in the semester grade. The instructor posted learning tips, homework reminders and internet links, made announcements about upcoming events, explained course contents, conducted surveys and provided extra class materials to download. While students shared internet links they found helpful or interesting, practiced new German vocabulary, asked questions and commented on posts by others. With the first success showing in an increasing number of posts and comments from students, it felt like the right time to think about how to integrate our Facebook group activities into the overall curriculum and into the grading matrix of our German courses. Therefore, starting with the 2013 academic year, it became a requirement for students to put up at least one post related to a specific topic every 2 weeks, and comment on at least 2 posts by other students. All posts and comments had to be made in German, and twice per semester a documentation of these activities in the group had to be submitted for grading in the form of an MS Word file with screenshots. Facebook group participation made up 10% of the semester grade. In order to enhance collaboration and exchange between the different groups, starting with the 2014 academic year, more advanced students were then asked to comment on beginners' posts instead of commenting on the posts of their own classmates. Thus, German 3 students now would try their best to help German 2 students, while German 2 students help German 1 students. This means that about 80% of the students currently enrolled in the participating courses are able to benefit from the help of their peers. For the more advanced students of German 3, who make up the remaining 20%, the instructor provides comments, corrections and suggestions on a regular basis. By helping lower-level students, the more advanced groups also have the opportunity to review class contents and deepen their understanding of the vocabulary and grammar structures they already encountered before in peer-oriented activities. While all students are given a real audience for their posts and become readers at the same time, more advanced students are given the additional role of advisors for lower-level students. Now let's see what the assignments for the Facebook group look like. Here you can see an example of the topics from the first semester for the 3 different course levels. For your convenience, I provided a rough English translation in parentheses. Usually, topics were chosen to reflect textbook content or to practice basic communication skills related to the student's everyday life. Along with the topic, I provided examples of the form and the possible content of what students could write about. Here you can see samples for the last 2 weeks of the first semester. The topics covered here were student life and living in Taichung for German 1, favorite recipes and breakfast for German 2, and conjectures about the future of humankind and expectations towards children in Taiwanese families for German 3 students. Now, for all the linguistic, cultural and interpersonal benefits of using Facebook's group function in the foreign language classroom, there are also challenges that need to be addressed. I would like to talk about 3 specific areas where I encounter difficulties. The first one is student participation. Currently, the number of students who fully realize the potential of the group by regular participation is still limited. Some students seem to only make a few brief cameo appearances towards the end of deadlines so as to fulfill the basic requirements. Here you can see 2 examples where students waited until the last minute to post their assignments for several weeks in bulk. What can we do to make students become active members of the group? And how can we keep them involved over the semester? How can we identify inactive students early on and remind them of the task at hand before it is too late? After all, only if group members participate on a regular basis can the group evolve into an authentic platform for exchange. Then there is the question of how to deal with mistakes. As is to be expected for a group like this, posts often contain grammar and word usage mistakes. This also includes miscorrections of student posts by peers. Here you can see an example of a miscorrection of a German 1 post by a German 2 student. The original correct adverbial complement describing a movement into the library, in German in die Bibliothek, is miscorrected into in the library, in der Bibliothek, which we would use to describe an action taking place inside of the library. While it does not make sense to correct each and every one of these mistakes, as that would only stifle student confidence and motivation, the question still stands: how should the instructor react to mistakes? Another challenge for the instructor is how to keep track of each individual student's participation and performance in the group, so as to be able to remind them of the task and to help them in their learning process. Of course, there is the documentation, which students are asked to hand in twice per semester. But apart from that, it is quite impossible for an individual teacher to constantly have an eye on all students. In the current situation, this would mean monitoring more than 120 students in 4 classes on 3 skill levels. So what would be needed to make sure that these challenges are met? While there is certainly no standard solution, and whatever measures we take, they will have to be geared to the specific needs of the given context, there are some measures that should help mitigate the effects of the challenges mentioned. Experience shows that it is helpful to bring up and discuss student participation issues in class, clarifying the assignment and reminding students of the time frame. In fact, the Facebook group should always be given some space in the classroom as well, so as to create a clear connection between offline and online activities. We could also set shorter intervals for task completion and documentation, like 4 or even 8 deadlines instead of 2 over the course of the semester. This would certainly help us avoid late submissions, and it might even make the group more lively and appealing to the students, as they would receive more timely feedback in the form of comments and corrections from their peers. And for the instructor, it would at the same time be easier to implement remedial actions early on. So how about mistakes and miscorrections? Learner mistakes and miscorrections are nothing to be afraid of as such, as they are part of the learning process. They can help us to think more deeply and to come to a clearer and more comprehensive understanding about the target language. Nevertheless, errors should be discussed in class on a regular basis, perhaps with the help of a categorized list of common errors for each level. Then, more advanced students can be trained in how to give motivating feedback while correcting mistakes. As for keeping track, setting shorter intervals for documentation deadlines should be of some help here as well. Additionally, the instructor could try to find a way to overcome the impossible task of keeping track of each individual student and to document their activities on a regular basis, so as to be able to intervene at an early stage where necessary. One way of addressing this problem would be to get help from, say, a German-speaking part-time assistant. This brings us to the final part of the presentation. I would like to finish with a quick outlook at what might be in store for our Facebook group in the coming semesters. In view of the challenges raised above, hiring a part-time assistant, a German speaker to monitor student activities, contact inactive students, check for mistakes and take remedial action in a way suitable to the needs of the group members should be a worthwhile investment. To avoid late submissions of posts and comments and keep students consistently involved over the semester, 8 instead of 2 deadlines could be set up for students to hand in their written documentation, so that students would have to make sure they finish the assignments within the 2-week period given for each of the 8 topics of the semester. Then, to encourage student exchange beyond the assignments, extra points could be given for additional posts and comments. Furthermore, it is hoped that in the future the scope of benefits for the German classroom can be extended. Thus, there are currently plans to strengthen the learning by teaching aspect of the group, to develop mutually beneficial collaboration opportunities between students and teachers in training, and to organize special events with guest members sharing their expertise in fields of interest to the students, like German music, food and traveling. These measures, it is expected, will contribute to making the Facebook group for German an even more rewarding experience for both instructor and students. Thank you very much for your attention, and please let me know if there are any questions. You can also contact me by email.